Hi, this is Tom Kane, the voice of Jedi Master Yoda. And this is Inside the Force. Listen, you will. Foreseen it I have, yes.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force, where we explore the galaxy far, far away. David Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello everybody.
We're getting into the latest news, reviews of the Star Wars universe. This week we're going to be discussing a couple comics. We were kind of off last week.
A little hiatus.
Casey kind of went out of town. Mm-hmm. How was that?
It was good. It was in New York.
Nice little trip.
Yeah.
With the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tried to go see Jimmy Fallon, but I know, although his tickets always booked way far in advance. But I wish I did because Oscar Isaac was there.
Oh, that's right, he was.
I would have loved to have seen that.
That's right. Yeah, he mentioned. I didn't see it, but he mentioned something briefly.
It was pretty cool about his uncle being there.
His uncle
was very like Star Wars devout uncle.
Oh, really?
He's apparently a huge fan. It's an awesome story. Go watch it.
Sweet. So there's some celebration stuff that we will dive into and talk about. There's a couple comics. Then basically what Marvel has done now. They're pretty much released. They're releasing a comic every week. Mm-hmm. So you've got Star Wars, you've got Darth Vader, and then you got Princess Leia, and then the new book that just came out this past week, which is Kanan. The backstory of Kanan from Star Wars Rebels.
Yep.
So that started this week. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about last week's book, which was Darth Vader #3 that came out. And then we'll... I mentioned the celebration thing already, but then we'll talk about some other news. We're just talking Star Wars.
Yeah,
so some good stuff going on. That's right. So what's of course we always start off with the most important, I think, is the Star Wars Episode 7 news, if there's any. What we got, Case?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about a trailer the past few weeks. It's pretty much confirmed that it's going to air Celebration, most def. New trailer in Celebration. But it also looks like it might air in front of the new Mad Max film. And Regal kind of jumped the gun, it seemed like, and tweeted out a little something, Regal Theaters, that they will be airing Star Wars trailer in front of Avengers Age of Ultron. But then that tweet has since been rescinded, removed, redacted, whatever.
I think that's pretty inevitable.
Yes.
You've got the biggest crowd.
Yeah.
Plus, exactly, not only is it Marvel and Disney, but you have the biggest crowd of fans, the biggest movie of the year, besides Episode 7.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
So I'll just quickly say that we'll get into more celebration stuff later, but I am officially booked to go.
Look at you. Yeah.
Me and Charles and Chad. I don't know if we've had Charles on the show, but he's part of the 21 Network a little bit. He's done some stuff for us. Chad, of course, has, and he's a vital part of the network, but we're all, three of us are going. Mm-hmm. We are booked, unfortunately. So we're leaving Thursday morning, which is the 16th. We actually fly in. We will land in Anaheim because obviously we're on East Coast time. Mm-hmm. We will land in Anaheim right about 9:30.
Their time
in the morning.
Whoa.
Now we are flying into Santa Ana, which is just south of Anaheim, John Wayne Airport.
Okay.
So we will take a cab. It's about a 16-mile drive. Mm-hmm. No, I think it's less than that, actually. I think it's maybe 8 to 10 miles or something like that to the hotel. Now here's the thing. Now I'll say this for anybody that's listening that's thinking about going still possibly or whatnot. We went a different route as far. We tried to obviously cut as much cost as we can. Mm-hmm. So we obviously had to buy flights out there, but then we're staying a couple nights in a hotel, and then we're staying the last night, Saturday night, at our buddy's house, Matt Rainey.
Okay.
So we're saving some money there. Plus, we're flying out of Burbank. Mm-hmm. So he lives by Burbank. So it's easy to... So we're leaving Saturday. Once we leave the convention Saturday night, we're going back to his place, crashing there, and then he's taking us to the airport Sunday morning. So we're not going to go to Celebration on Sunday. Yeah. We're doing all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we will be probably getting to our hotel around the time Abrams and Kennedy take the stage. Now, what I hate is that if you look at the schedule, their event is being simulcasted.
Yeah.
So you don't have to technically be in the doors and in the stands to see what's going on the Celebration stage. So whatever they release, trailer-wise or footage, I'm assuming they're going to be simulcasting it.
Yeah, and I was going to pull up a list. They said it's going to be in 23 countries, which I'm sure it's in the U.S. of A.
What's in 23 countries?
They're going to simulcast that panel in 23 countries, it says.
Oh, so is it going to be streamed online? I guess,
that's how I would assume.
Oh, I see. I assumed they were just going to simulcast throughout the convention center.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
No, actually,
it's going to be online?
I guess. I'm trying to find out why.
Wow. I did not anticipate that. Yeah, that's incredible.
I'll bring up that article.
Okay, so anyway, but I was afraid. I'm about 99% sure that whatever they release will probably go up on YouTube. Now, maybe if they do a trailer, it will, but I think more than likely, you know as well as I do from being at Celebration, there's a lot of like clips that they release that no one else ever does see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that whole, when we went and they revealed the Blu-rays coming out, we saw the behind-the-scenes video or the deleted scene of Luke building his lightsaber.
Right.
No one saw that after that. I mean, they never released that until you got the Blu-ray.
Right.
So I'm sure there's stuff that Abrams may show, clips of like maybe a clip of Luke or a clip of Leia. You know what I mean? That may not ever get to the interwebs for everybody to see. But I'm assuming whatever teaser trailer they have developed for that, I guarantee that'll be up online eventually.
Yeah, here's a short list. It says that the Force Awakens panel will be screened live in movie theaters, looks like, in 23 different countries. 6 IMAX theaters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure the convention center will also have some kind of thing going on, but
yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like Germany, Denmark, Finland, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, France.
So the opening ceremony they're talking about?
Yeah, I guess so. London. I mean, it's got to be somewhere. Okay, let me think. So that's Thursday though. I'll still be busy. Dang it, I got too many commitments that week.
You'll be working.
I'll be working, but I'm actually going to a conference in Frankfurt, Kentucky.
Thursday morning.
I'll be there the Thursday, Wednesday through Friday.
Well, it'll be noon or so here.
That's okay.
Or 1 o'clock here is when it starts.
It's gotta be. I hope it's online. Dang it.
So anyway, I will whatever. They're still keeping some of the stuff secret as far as like what's happening that day, that weekend. They haven't released everything, so I don't. Whatever episode 7 stuff that they have, I'm gonna hit.
They've released. Occasionally the website, the Celebration website, will release their schedule, and I'm looking through. They've released a fair bit of it. It looks pretty cool. Like the panels seem to be more. I don't know. Like I want to go to more of the panels. It seemed like fun. Like a lot of the actors are the original actors are doing like their own kind of 1 hour shows. Like you have the Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill one.
Yeah, we did all
Daniels,
those.
Yeah. Now Billy D. Williams is going to have his own like 1 hour thing.
Yeah.
Looks like James Arnold Taylor is doing his one-man show again. That was cool.
I definitely, and then unfortunately, this might take all day Saturday, but I gotta see this premiere of Clone Wars or Rebels season 2, man.
Yeah.
And that I think it starts at like 5. So I mean, we're probably have to get in line for a couple hours. which I am willing to do because
Yeah.
if there's one thing I do want to see is I want to see that panel, the digital stage where Filoni is going to be, and I think it's actually another thing that's actually cool that I think we talked about seeing was Friday night because every night they do 2 movies.
Yeah.
So Thursday night episode they're doing 1 and 2 in 3D.
Yeah.
Well, episode 3 on Friday night is the premiere of it in 3D.
Yeah.
And it's being introduced by Ian McDermott.
Yeah.
That's gonna be. I think me and Charles were like, "Oh God, we know what we're doing Friday night." So
Yeah.
and then Saturday, of course, and then they have episode 4 after that in 2D, and then they got 2D 5 and 6 on Saturday night. And those screens that they have there for that digital, they digital project those movies. Man, it's just phenomenal looking. So it's a great way to end the night. And so anyway, we'll get a little bit more into Star Wars, the celebration, but I just wanted to kind of let everybody know. Now, as far as coverage goes, I don't really plan on doing a lot of video stuff. This is really a time to just celebrate Star Wars. And Chad and I kind of talked about maybe doing. I might do a podcast out there, just record one to put up later, or something like that. We're gonna obviously take a ton of pictures, but I really don't want to haul a camera around and try to.
Well, like now that's kind of what I did when I was on my trip. Like I just use my phone. I don't want to haul a camera around, so my phone does pretty good video now.
Yeah, we talked about doing some Camera One stuff, and definitely posting some stuff, tweeting like crazy pictures and stuff like that. So follow us at Inside the Forest. I'm going to be out there doing all that stuff that weekend. So that's in 2 weeks. We will be out there. So
before we get into the comics, I also want to talk about the Flash episode this past week with Mark Hamill.
Yes, that's right.
That was hilarious.
It was.
They threw in a really good Star Wars reference.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe he did that. Yeah. I cannot believe he said that.
He was really good.
For everybody who doesn't know, I'll briefly say, in the 90s, early 90s, there was a Flash TV show, and Mark Hamill played the Trickster. Right. The Trickster is one of the rogues. Basically, he's a villain of the Flash. With the group of with Heatwave and Captain Cold and Captain Boomerang and Weather Wizard, and then there's the Trickster. Well, the Trickster, there was the original one. His name is James Jesse, and that's who Mark Hamill played. Now, he kind of was reprising his role.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. He was as if he was the Trickster from that TV show.
Yeah.
But they're not saying there was a Flash, obviously, right? When he was doing his stuff, and the Trickster he doesn't have superpowers. He's basically he's like
just a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, and he's like what do you call it? He's like the stepson of the Joker,
in a way.
You know what I mean?
Mark Hamill acted like the
Joker.
Right? Yeah.
But then what's cool is that there's later on when the Trickster kind of gets caught and everything, there was in the comic books I'm talking about, there was a copycat Trickster. And his name was Axel. I think it was Axel Walker or something like that. Axel Walker or something like that. So it was cool. And for anybody that's listening to this, probably is not going to watch it. But so I'm kind of spoiling it a little bit. But in this episode, it was pretty cool because they did that. Hamill was caught in prison, and then all of a sudden there was this copycat out there, which is Axel, redoing this Trickster stuff. And eventually you find out that he breaks out. Hamill, and there's this big revelation. And what did you say?
He says, "I am your father."
That is crazy.
Yeah, Mark Hamill says it to the younger Trickster guy.
Yeah, so they made him father and son, which was pretty cool,
hilarious.
But the way he said it was exactly,
"I am your father." It's just he had to have fun with that.
I know, and I saw that, and I wonder. Obviously, they planned that, but I wonder whose idea was that to say, "Oh my God, we got Hamill. Let's make him say that."
Part of those writers, those young guys, like let's make him say it.
That was. I wonder if Jeff Johns had anything to do with that.
Yeah, my wife was watching that. She was laughing too. She got it.
Oh
like,
man!
Oh wow!
It is crazy. So that was a really cool thing this week.
Well, Star Wars,
really neat episode.
Areas. Yeah,
and of course, Hamill looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely older, but he's a lot thinner and trimmed down than he was when I saw him at Celebration.
Yeah,
we saw him at Celebration 6. Must have been obviously much later after Star Wars. He didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
So he got that shaved off, and he looks great, and he did great. So, but yeah, there was a little bit of Joker in him.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a little bit of what he played. I guess I'm curious to actually go back and watch the old episode.
I do. Yeah, I would like to
and see how he acted in that. Because that was pre-Joker, right?
No, it was right around the same. It was the same time actually.
Animated series was early 90s.
It was actually late 80s. It was like 89.
Oh, real? So he was the Joker then already, probably.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So 90s, all throughout the 90s. Yeah, I mean, I watched a little clip, and he did. He acts he's just very wildly and crazy. But it just made me excited for Star Wars. So watching that whole episode, I was just like, seeing Mark Hamill again on screen cannot wait.
Yeah.
For him to be Luke Skywalker again. Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So, all right. What we got?
Yeah.
News wise.
Another news wise. Well,
anything else?
Let's talk about books. They are releasing. Ambiguous. They.
Yeah.
Releasing a paperback version of A New Dawn, and you can preview the first few pages on Amazon when you go on that website. And when you preview it, you'll notice that in that paperback copy, they are publishing. They've already started a canon timeline of the novels. This is something that is very recognizable in the EU world. Like they had a huge, like several pages spanning timeline of all the books. So now they're starting to establish, a timeline of the novels and the real canon, this new canon. So I don't have that image up. I actually got rid of it, but if you look through it, it already has all the novels that have come out so far.
Got it up.
Yeah, and actually, the way this is, organized is that it goes actually in chronological. They list it in chronological order. So go ahead and list off.
Yeah, and obviously, if fans of the EU, unfortunately, they're not. They remove the whole what they established before as Episode 4 being basically 0 year.
Yeah,
anything before the Battle of Yavin was ABY, and anything after, anything before was BBY. Anything after was ABY. Yeah. So you could say Episode 1 was 32 years BBY, right? So now they don't have that anymore. It seems as if it's just there's no year numbers yet. I mean, we haven't seen any. I mean, obviously there is year numbers. We just haven't been given them yet because even in Episode 1, Mace says they've been extinct for 1,000 years. So there is time getting kept, obviously, in the Star Wars universe. And
Leland tweeted out a couple times. He's tweeted out, I think, somewhat of a yearly timeline. Like he said he basically started with Episode 1. Yeah,
it basically said 10 years. Later, Episode 2 happened. Yeah. 3 years later, Episode 3 happened. So it's almost as if there's time there, like you said. Yeah, there's the time establishment of when everything happens in relation to the other, but there's not a in Episode 1 that happened
there's
in year
star date or anything.
Correct, which I think there is. I just don't know if they've established. it yet. They've never established it.
Right,
they never have
officially. Yeah, right.
Correct. So anyway, this doesn't have anything like that, any numbers, but it does it does show the chronological order of basically the novels incorporated with the movies. So they call it the story of Star Wars. Right off the bat is at the top. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Directly under that in gray, so it's talked because it's a TV series. It has the Clone Wars, and then underneath that it has the novel Dark Disciple, which is the Ventress novel, I think, right?
Yeah, so that takes place after the Clone Wars, so again, it goes in chronological order.
Correct. Oh, yeah, probably, or inside the Clone Wars is possible, because it is about Ventress. Yeah. So even though she does survive at the end, so it could be after. But it also is also
Quinlan
Master Quinlan Vos.
So it's right towards the end, probably, most likely.
And then Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, of course, right after that. Either during that or before or right after that is Lords of the Sith, which is the next novel coming out.
Yeah.
during that time is Tarkin. And then, see, this is where it says, and I haven't read Tarkin yet, so I don't know exactly when that happens. Mm-hmm. But then in this timeline, of course, also is A New Dawn, which we know is the prequel to the TV series Rebels, which is the next thing on the list, which is highlighted in gray as well, Rebels TV series. So, which we know is 4 to 5 years before Episode 4, which is the next on the timeline, Episode 4, New Hope. And then under that is Heir to the Jedi, and then, surprisingly, Battlefront.
Yeah.
Which obviously there's a Battlefront novel, it seems like.
There's a game. I mean,
or is that the game?
There's definitely a video game coming out. There actually might be footage released during Celebration. But this could be a novelization of the game, maybe?
Possibly.
Or
it could be the game.
Could be the game itself.
Because the game is the first canon game, right? I think Battlefront is the first canon game.
Then the first, and so it might be just a story like they used to do, Clone Wars novels. So a story from this, whatever, from the game, or the actual game as a book, maybe. That's kind of what they do with Force Unleashed.
They've done novels on the Force Unleashed?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's true. It could just be the novel.
Yeah. But
because this is in the novel timeline,
but the thing is, it's cool because that takes place before Episode 4. So the game
during between Episode 4 and 5. It looks like
that game. Then, if this is the novelization of the game, will probably take place between maybe
because it looked like the game though had elements from Battle Hoth and Endor.
Now, usually the games span some time.
Correct.
So this could be the same thing. I don't know. I mean. I don't know how they would make it.
I'm going to check it out at Celebration.
Yeah.
Because they're premiering it. They're premiering it. At least some footage there and stuff. There hasn't been a release date, has there yet?
Christmas, I think.
Christmas of this year?
Yeah, I think so. Christmas time.
So right after that, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And then Return of the Jedi. And then right after Return of the Jedi is the first Journey to the Force Awakens novel, which is Aftermath. Mm-hmm. So pumped about that, man. That is, I'm so interested in that book. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they have on here Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Yeah. So for all those people wondering, it is Episode 7.
Yes.
It says it right there, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. So that's a really cool thing. I'm actually going to save this picture and tweet this out because I want people to
expanding because I get it. They need to put the comics in there somehow.
Yeah, at some point they do. Now, I know that Wikipedia has started. They have started a canon timeline on there. They have every novel, junior novel, comic listed on there, so you can find something that's kind of in order of what's a little bit more. But something official would be cool if we got something official from Lucasfilm. But as of we know, that's the first thing really that kind of starts listing everything that's canon. Yeah, like you said, unfortunately the comic books aren't in there. But I'm sure those will eventually get incorporated. Okay, so what else we got?
Some good news. Harrison Ford is released from the hospital 3 weeks after the plane crash. Very awesome news. He is resting now at his own home, undergoing some therapy, of course, because he still needs to recover. But it seems like he, broke his pelvis, and he is just recovering. I mean, he's a trooper. It's insane that he's can walk away from this. That's amazing. But good news there.
Sweet.
But that's pretty much all we got there for some news. We got a little more celebration stuff that we can talk about now or later, but not much.
Well, let's get into kind of the comics first a little bit. The first comic we're going to talk about is Darth Vader #3, which came out last week, which would have been March 25th or something like that. So different. Last we saw Vader, he was basically tasked Boba Fett and
that
Wookiee bounty hunter.
Always forget his name.
He's got kind of jobs for them, and now he's kind of in this book. seems like he's enlisting somebody else. So what do you think of this issue?
It was a good issue. It was fine. Nothing really crazy happened. We were introduced to a new character, and she seemed pretty cool. But this is a lot of setup. It's building up a lot of anticipation. I feel like about what's he planning? Like he's obviously going after Luke. He wants to find out who was the pilot that destroyed the Death Star. So he's trying to figure that out. Kind of go under the radar. In this comic, he says he's basically trying to have his own private resources that he can count on because he's kind of lost his command. I guess you can say right. Because he says I will be able to command armies, whatever. So he's trying to rebuild that on his own terms and not under the Emperor's terms, which is cool, I suppose. Found this really cool and deadly lady, Dr. Aphra.
Yes.
But, no, again, yeah, it's just a lot of anticipation. I think it needs to start going forward a little bit. They need to kind of speed some things up.
She's very smugglerish.
Yeah.
She kind of gets that Han Solo vibe.
Yeah.
It's weird because do you remember the Star Wars book that Dark Horse was doing last couple of years?
That one girl.
The one girl that Han and Chewie kind of hooked up with. That's kind of who she kind of reminds me of. But she's very mechanical in a sense.
She's very loose around Darth Vader. She's not uptight, nervous. Well, she's nervous, but not trembling at him like everybody else does. It's interesting.
Do you feel, when I read these books, though, do you feel like I'd be curious to actually get a poll together of people that, are into reading the new novels and books like that and comics, because I'm wondering, do you think, because I briefly thought about this, do you think that Darth Vader having his own book, obviously, it seems as if we're going to be getting a lot of stories, not just like right now we're focusing more on after episode 4.
Yeah.
But we're going to get a lot of stories, especially what seems like in Rebels.
Right.
We're going to get a lot of stories of what happens between 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think that's going to start diminishing the evilness of Darth Vader? Do you know what I mean? In the 80s, there was no villain other than Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people argued that the beauty of what the prequels wrecked was an origin of the baddest villain in cinema. You know what I mean? That they felt like that kind of humanized him too much, or it tore, almost like the Joker. It's like you give the Joker an origin and you kind of diminish the fear of him. You think that this is going to, because I don't believe that, but I don't think I believe that. But I don't know how much we need. I don't know. It depends to me anyway, but I don't know what you think.
Personally, no, it doesn't hurt my opinion of Darth Vader at all. I still honestly kind of separate the two, Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. Like when I see Darth Vader in the movies and Rebels and this comic, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Darth Vader. He's about to, kick some names and take some butt. But then when I watch the prequels, I see Anakin Skywalker. I see him more of a human, sympathetic or empathetic kind of tragic way. But getting that backstory to me kind of helps. It helps the originals. I think it helps Darth Vader's story because it kind of connects it more. And maybe I now watch the originals with a different viewpoint, like saying, okay, before I was watching this Darth Vader, this cold-hearted guy. Now I'm watching it, it's like, oh gosh, that's Anakin Skywalker. How hard is it for Anakin to want to try to kill his son Luke, in the originals? But it doesn't make me fear Vader any less. Like I still fear him the same amount. Yeah. I just have more human feelings towards him. But no, it's kind of a paradox. But no, it doesn't hurt it at all. I don't think. But that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. I can see. It's hard because I could see where prior to the prequels that you could say, there's this really evil guy out there, and he happens to grow a heart because he finds out he has twin kids that he never even knew about. But we find out, in the prequels that he had this tragic love story, that he was looking forward to being a father, not knowing that he, the kids were kept from him. So to me, it really, what the prequels do, it didn't just destroy my vision of Vader or my perception of Vader. It just really explained.
Yeah, it made sense.
Why he became who he became. Yeah. It's interesting to see if they keep going down this road, because what this comic book is illustrating, though, is that Vader is not, he's not just the pawn of the Emperor. Mm-hmm. Like, he has his own agendas, and a lot of it is against what the Emperor's bidding is. Yeah. So I wonder how much of that we will see throughout the 19-year gap between 3 and 4, because that's a ton of story in there. Yeah. And obviously, we know that it took about 15 years until the spark of the rebellion happened. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I wonder what he did those 15 years, yeah. Like, did they assume? They obviously assumed there were. Tarkin even said it in Rebels, there aren't any Jedi around. Yeah. I know they're gone. Yeah. They're all gone. Mm-hmm. So at some point during that time frame, it's assumed that Vader or the Empire killed all the Jedi. Mm-hmm. So what else? Who else is standing up against the rebellion or the Empire besides Jedi helping these rebels? I don't know. So it's a wonder what Vader's doing. Besides, if there are some worlds that maybe are trying to defect or something from the Empire. I don't know.
There's always a common theme I've noticed of Vader just rebelling against the Emperor. Like, in episode 6, he's telling Luke that we can fight the Emperor, we can destroy him. And Force Unleashed, although it's not canon, he was saying the same thing. Like, he's trying to use Malik as, or Malik was a Starkiller, whatever his real name was.
Galen Merrick.
Galen Merrick. Merrick was right. Malik was another character. Merrick was a way to, in some ways, to overthrow the Emperor. So there were some elements of that in the game. So that could be another thing that in that gap.
And that's the thing. That's the theme throughout the Sith too. They're always trying to find the next apprentice or the next master.
Yeah. But that's just the story of Vader. It's think about it's really just the story of Anakin. Like, he's trying to. He does want to rule the world or the galaxy. Yeah, he believes in the dark side now, but he still doesn't. He still thinks the Emperor is maybe still some greater evil that needs to be vanquished. Like, even in episode 3, he's telling Padme, like, we can overthrow the Emperor. We can rule the galaxy the way it needs to be, like with the dark side, but in a good way. Like, we'll make it so it's actually a good way, not the way the Emperor wants to do it. So it's a tragic story. It's tragic.
Yeah, and it was all about keeping her alive.
Yeah.
He was doing it to keep her alive, but then when obviously he thought she died, I'm not as powerful as the Emperor anymore, so I got to basically do his bidding because I got all my arms and my legs cut off. Yeah. So, but you're right. I mean, and it's a wonder, and I wonder if they ever will dive into this. Like, what if Luke would have said yes? Mm-hmm. You think Vader would have really done that?
Overthrown the Emperor?
Yes, with Luke.
Yeah, I think so.
Or was he actually saying, was he calling for help? You know what I'm saying? Like, join me and we'll rule the galaxy as father and son.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point, at episode 5, there's, to me, because that's his ultimate, that's like the height of his evil, I think, in a sense, where he's really trying to get him to, but I don't know if I don't know, around episode 6 at some point, that conversation they had when he turned himself in on Endor, it's like, would he really, it seemed like Vader's almost, at that point, now that he's almost like calling, he's like calling for help.
Yeah, that scene specifically in episode 6.
Yes.
It's like, and then it's a moment where
like he's reluctant to turn him in.
Yeah.
And he's, I don't know, it's
one last chance. Yeah, please, like, let's do this. We got to do this. Like, there's that moment too where he
and he's like, it's too late for me, son, and
like he looks at his lightsabers like, indeed, like, your training is complete. They have that famous Smallville, they turn away from each other and talk.
And they do.
And it's like Indeed, you all have power. We'll have Obi-Wan has trained you well, or something like that, and he's like, it's too late for me, that kind of thing. So it was good. That was a good scene, actually.
Yeah, and then when he says, "Come with me," and you see Vader, you can tell. I mean, you can't see his face, but you can tell he's like, it's too late for me, son.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I want to,
yeah,
but I can't. I've come too far now.
Yeah,
I can't. So at some point, there's that turn, even though he hasn't fully turned. But anyway, it's a great story.
It is.
How the
Come
hell?
on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
you need the originals. You need the prequels. You need the prequels.
You need the prequels. You need the originals. You need all these stories that are just enhancing these characters.
Yeah.
And then so that leads us to the next character that seems like is going to become a vital part of the timeline, and that's Kanan.
Mm-hmm.
Kanan #1 came out this past week, called The Last Padawan, and it's dubbed The Secret History of Kanan from Star Wars Rebels. So, of course, they've incorporated the theme in these comics, which is great, is the crawl.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their own crawl. They're basically dubbing, these books, book 1, part 1, part 2, part 3, or whatever, and then The Last Padawan, and then, of course, you get your 3-paragraph crawl. This book, written by Greg Wiseman and illustrated by Pepe Lazar, colors by David Curiel, and the cover of this thing was done by Mark Brooks. Some great variants out there.
Yeah.
Of this book too. So one I actually bought that has the actual Kanan from Star Wars Rebels on the cover. So anyway, very, very cool book. It starts off with Star Wars Rebels, the crew from the Ghost.
That was a surprise.
And then it becomes more of a flashback thing. So what do you think of the book?
Like the opening part, I didn't think it'd be the whole thing would be told in the flashback. I actually like that. I think that's really cool story kind of technique. But this is a cool opening first parter. I mean, about what I expected it to be. Just a really cool answering some questions about Kanan, about him and his master. Ending was cool. Nice little cliffhanger there.
Yeah,
and I loved how they are being consistent with the clones and how they were depicted. Like these two clones. There's 2 clones in this issue. And they're very loose, they have their own personalities, like how we got used to in the Clone Wars TV show. And it just made me think again about episodes 2 and 3 and how the clones were always stone cold soldiers. Clone Wars, we got to know them very well, and I'm just glad they actually are carrying that through in this comic. That was pretty cool. I'm interested, just as much as I'm interested in learning more about Kanan, I'm interested in learning about his master. She seems very intriguing, like there's a lot to her as well, and like there's a little moment.
Depa Billabo, I think.
She's a weird Star Wars name. Yeah,
but there's a moment. I have to get the pronunciation. I think the Inquisitor actually mentions
he does. Yeah, there's a moment in the beginning of the comic where Kanan's narrating, I think, where it says like she was gone for a little bit and then she came back. And I was curious as to what happened, what was going on there. So I don't know if there's something. He
says she emerged from, whatever she emerged from. Whatever it is she emerged from. So, yeah. And then we find out, too, that Kanan was not his Jedi name.
Right. Well, I mean, they reveal that in A New Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Caleb,
I haven't read the whole thing.
Doom.
Yeah, Dume or something like that.
It's French, Dume.
But
no, it was
the E is long.
There's a lot to know about the master, which I'm very intrigued to learn about in this issue, in this series.
Yeah,
good start.
Captain Styles. And Commander Gray are the clone troopers that are part of this thing. Unfortunately, now again, spoilers because I do want to talk about this. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to get the relationship with the troopers.
Not as much. Yeah, like I'm glad that we got a little bit.
We got a little bit
personality, but yeah, not the whole thing.
Because it ends the way episode 3 kind of ends.
Here's the thing: there's a chance now in the next issue we'll get some explanation as to what the Order 66 means for these troopers. Like, because we got a little bit in the Clone Wars. Like, is this like it's like a chip in their mind that's like switched,
Yes.
Where they're just like
activates.
programmed, like, okay, boom, like, because we talked about in the show where a long time ago, are the clones, do they know the whole time, or are they just now, or is it just something that they're just brainwashed into, switching their minds over to? The Clone Wars, I think, pretty much answered that though, right?
In the season 6,
yeah,
in the Lost Missions,
yeah, they pretty much answered that.
They did.
I don't know if they left a little room for vagueness there or anything like that.
No, I think what they established, and again, I need to watch it again because I've only seen it once, but they've established that it's basically a chip they're programmed with during the beginning, during on Camino, and it takes the Emperor Palpatine or whatever Sidious, it takes his voice and his way of saying execute Order 66 that triggers this. So right away, because they showed, it wasn't Fives, I don't think, but it was one of the
in the show.
Yeah,
it
was one of the clones that was malfunctioning because it was triggering because he kills that Jedi, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. Obviously, then it was part of Dooku's task to keep it hidden still. So it was a plan from the beginning, obviously.
Yeah,
and every clone trooper has it embedded in them that they are loyal to the Jedi until they hear that order. So
yeah, I'm just interested in this issue too. Like, we'll get some an interaction between the Jedi and these clones, like, what are you doing? Like, who I am, kind of thing. Like, why are you doing this? And the clones are just like, no, I've got to kill you now, or something kind of thing.
I mean, it was so well illustrated in episode 3. Like Commander Cody.
Gosh, yeah.
All of a sudden, he was like, got it, and was like, kill that guy.
Yeah,
just
gave him his lightsaber, and then kill him.
Yeah, crazy. So, but we also see in this, we get the origin of when he gets the holocron.
Yeah, that was cool.
That we see from Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool moments, like talking about form, fighting style.
Totally.
I
thought that was really cool. Form 3.
Yeah, like form, like function comes from form, and there is no form without function, or something like that. It was really, real nice.
Really nice. So, so again, yeah, we'll see. This kind of, like you said, ends on a cliffhanger, and the next issue next month will definitely see Kanan try to survive Order 66. Again, Caleb, his name in this. At some point, he'll take. Did it explain how he got Kanan?
I haven't gotten that far.
Okay, yeah,
no, yeah.
So, so that's that with the books. I will look up what's coming out next week, but let's talk about some Celebration stuff before we wrap this up.
Well, it's jealous that you're going, because you're going to also get to see Gareth Edwards and Josh Trank.
That's right.
They are attending Star Wars Celebration. They are of course, Gareth Edwards is directing Star Wars Rogue One, and Josh Trank is directing the second Star Wars spinoff movie, which that's just super awesome. There will also be more of a Rogue One announcement, I guess, or just more news and details about the film at Celebration. Not a whole lot, because it's something that really kind of interesting happened, because the new Mission Impossible movie, Rogue Nation, is coming out, and they're both. Let's see, actually, is Mission Impossible? Mission Impossible, I think, that's not Disney. Is it? Who's Mission Impossible released by? Anyways, Mission Impossible Rogue One.
That's a Universal.
Yeah, Mission Impossible Rogue One. Like the company who did that, and they had some negotiations with Disney about how their titles are so similar. You have Rogue Nation and Rogue One. That they've kind of come to an agreement where Rogue One is going to hold off on a lot of advertisement until Mission Impossible Rogue Nation has been released. So they can't really do anything. Disney can't really do anything with Rogue One except for at Star Wars Celebration. So they're going to talk a little bit about it at Star Wars Celebration, and we probably won't get any other piece of news of the film until later this year, when, probably once after episode 7 comes out. But you'll get something, and there's more rumors about additional casting for Rogue One. I'm just super pumped. I'm excited about that one.
Yes, unbelievable. Next week, as far as the comic goes, release anyway. This is straight up Marvel. This is why I don't really like
comic
Marvel.
every week, or
Well, it's Darth Vader number 4, which we just got Darth Vader number 3, and that means they're putting that book out almost twice a month, which they've been known to do.
Yeah.
Like they did that with Spider-Man. Forever.
Yeah.
It's like every other week you got Spider-Man, and I don't know. Anyway, and these aren't cheap books. I mean, these books are $4 books. Anyway, so Darth Vader number 4 comes out next week. Doesn't look like Leia or Star Wars is, so one of those will be probably the final week. So we'll talk about that next week. What else we got? Is that it? Pretty much. The only other thing I'll mention really is, the This Is Madness is still happening. Mm-hmm. Voting is still going on StarWars.com. Just to update the brackets right now, you've got so basically, we haven't talked this in a while, but the top half of the Jedi bracket or the light side bracket, the final 4, one of them had made it in, and it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, because it's the older version. He just beat out R2, and that was a pretty 60-40 vote. Right now, voting is going on for Han Solo versus Captain Rex for the second spot in the last Final 4 there. The dark side Final 4, Tarkin was defeated by Boba Fett.
Ooh, interesting.
59-41. I think he came back because Tarkin was winning that. So Boba Fett is in. And the fourth final spot is Vader versus Jabba right now.
Okay.
So very interesting. Obi-Wan is the defending champ, the Ewan McGregor version.
Yeah.
He won last year.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, so I have a feeling if Han Solo could beat Captain Rex, because right now he's actually losing 58-42. But I feel like if Han Solo can make it against Obi-Wan, I feel like he will win.
Yeah.
And Vader, Boba Fett, man, that's a tough vote.
Yeah.
But whoever, I think again it's going to fall into the light side. I think Han is going to win this thing. So if I was a bet, I'd bet you it's Han.
Underdog there. Your bracket might be busted.
Keep going there. April 6th is the final championship showdown between whoever the last two is. That is the night of the NCAA championship game, which hopefully our Kentucky Wildcats will be in after they win Saturday against Wisconsin. So again, go to there, and then of course the fan film awards that are happening at Celebration. You can vote on that too at StarWars.com. So keep that going, and the winner will be selected and given the audience award at Celebration Anaheim. So, all right, and just throwing that out there. Also, if you've been playing Star Wars the card game, just throwing out that the new Force packs have been released. The new Force Cycle Rogue Squadron is out there now, so go pick that up. And there's just a lot of Star Wars Celebration memorabilia getting released already. What's available now? What's coming? A lot of good stuff, shirts, stuff that you can get pre-order before you get there. So go check all that out, StarWarsCelebration.com. Okay, so before we wrap up, a little trivia. Of course. This question is coming out of the Obsessed with Star Wars book, and it's number 1422, which is during the A New Hope era. Oh, and it's the big one. The big one.
Lots to read.
This might be very easy, I think. So anyway, real quick, this species hails from the Tyrus system in the galaxy's mid-rim and are known for their prowess as hunters. To their advantage, in that field, they have multifaceted eyes that can see heat emanating from their prey even in darkness. They also have long, tapered snouts that serve as filters for their incredibly developed sense of smell. Their coloring allows them to blend in with vegetation. This species emits an odor that most other species find revolting. The scent is actually a pheromonal excretion that extracts others of the species and also indicates the individual's family heritage to others in the species. This odor is particularly important to members of the species because their society is built around clans. Family units have been important to their species since their ancestors have built primitive tools to protect themselves. Since that time, this species has developed a love of hunting so strong that they never have acquired agricultural tendencies. They have hunted all the natural prey on their planet to extinction, so they have to import most of their food from off-world. Their love of hunting has grown so powerful that they are obsessed with violence, even romanticizing it in their arts. Their dramatic pieces of highly regarded. Their dramatic pieces are highly regarded around the galaxy. What is this violent species?
What is that species?
Unfortunately, there's a picture of probably what it is. And the options are A, Doug, B, Trandoshan, C, Rodian, or D, Hut.
I'm going to go with the letter C.
Correct.
Rodian.
I mean, there's a picture of Greedo and Han here, so it kind of gives it
well,
away.
You don't know. I don't think they ever say Rodian in the film, so
they don't.
If you're not as knowledgeable as us,
because they're kind of, even though the Tyrus system, kind of gives it away as well, because you kind of know Hutts are from Hutt space, and I don't know where Doug's necessarily are from, but and then Trandoshans are, which is Bosk, is a Trandoshan. So anyway, it is C. I'll just do it for the sake of argument.
Oh, correct.
Rodian is what Greedo is.
Rodians.
So that will wrap up this episode of Inside the Force. Go to InsideTheForce.com for all our episodes and links on there to subscribe to us on YouTube for our videos that we're doing. Get the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or TuneIn Radio. RSS feed is actually right there too for any RSS reader you may use. Link to us on Twitter at Inside the Force, Facebook Inside the Force. And, of course, Casey is at Kryptonian1138. I am D. Cottingham21. Give me a follow if you want to get some, see some behind-the-scenes footage from Celebration. We've been trying, I can talk about this a little bit. We've been trying to get David Collins on here. David Collins, if you don't know, he was the voice of Proxy on the Force Unleashed games. I've met him a couple times, one being at Star Wars Celebration, except for Celebration 6, one being at actually Superman Celebration. We kind of met him on the phone while we were kind of hanging out with Sam Witwer. So hopefully we've been talking back and forth through Twitter about getting him on the show. He's obviously wrapped up because he is the host on the digital stage out there at Celebration Anaheim. He's been doing that almost every celebration. In fact, he was out Celebration Europe, Germany, doing the same thing. So he's a constant Star Wars correspondent. He has been lately on a show called The Comlink on CSMOD. If you go to youtube.com/CSMOD, which is Kevin Smith's company, he's doing a show called The Comlink on there, which is basically Star Wars news. And he's talking. He usually has a person he's talking to. So great little show to watch. So I wanted to talk to him about all that. Now, fortunately, he's got a lot of planning and prepping to do. They're already prepping. They're out there right now kind of figuring out the hosts are in a way. So he kind of connected with us and said, hey, if it's cool, let's talk after Celebration. I sent him a response and said, hey, I'm going to be out there. Hopefully I'll run into you, or if we can set up a time to meet up. So I'm going to try to meet up with him out there and kind of get him prepped for the interview and maybe get a quick soundbite from him. So anyway, look for that, and I'm going to try to line up a bunch of interviews, possibly for later podcasts. So want to be able to talk to Sam Witwer again at some point. Hopefully run into Sam.
Heck yeah.
So anyway, because it seems like Sam is always they're always talking to him about something. You know what I mean? Like, especially Filoni. I think he's going to be incorporated into Rebels somehow. Yeah. I think,
Yeah, definitely.
Or he's actually going to show up in one of these movies. He's bound to show up in one of these live action films or something like that. Isn't there talks also? There's talks about a live action television show too, right?
Oh yeah. That rumor is coming back now.
Yeah. So, maybe Star Killer.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Come back next week where we talk about issue 4 of Darth Vader and whatever Star Wars news is out there. Again, check us out at Inside the Force. He's Casey Cooley.
I hope for your sake the Emperor is not as forgiving as I am.
Nice. Little Vader. Little Vader quote.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Go Cats.
Go Cats. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave Cottingham, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.